Good morning, everyone. Another Saturday, another episode of Design Chronologies. This is season 1, episode 4, and we're looking at a topic which is going to be Sriram is going to share, the storytelling way in design. Let me quickly introduce about Mr. Sriram. Sriram is my senior from a place called National Institute of Design. I know Sriram from some visuals are still there with me of Shri. So Shri currently is a principal design manager with Microsoft. He has worked with multinational companies at various positions. He was also design director with IBM iX. Before that, he was with Samsung as a chief design for user experience. So, Shri carries almost like a 2-decade experience with him, working around design and leading design teams and leading the innovation around design. I'm going to leave most of you to Shri to explain, because he is the entire subject is storytelling, and I think it's better Shri tells the story of what this last 2 decades been. So Shri, you're welcome to this session. Chitkara Design School, Chitkara University. A very warm welcome from students, faculties, and the entire community. So Shri, over to you.
Yeah. First of all, thanks a lot, Gopal, and I'm very grateful to both Chitkara as well as to Azmina to loop me in to this wonderful session. So any session with students, I don't miss out because it helps me go back to my student days. Those awesome memories, energetic conversations, very engaging as well, and it arouses a spark of curiosity. The best part is design is a subject that anyone gets involved very passionately. They are very opinionated in their thoughts, and be it my relatives, my kid, or his friends or students, this is one way that we connect a lot with the stories, right? The stories help us weave magic into conversations. And when I look around, I see a bunch of stories, be it a story of a curtain or a table or a chair that I'm sitting on, what the designer might have thought about it while building it for me, and today I'm using it. So be it digital, non-digital, static, moving, there are stories all around us, and it's refreshing when people give different perspectives to it. When people start empathizing with the person or the protagonist in the story. So, and growing up, it was like that. So I might have 2 decades or close to 2 decades of experience, but each time I meet a new set of folks, I actually learn a lot from them. So hoping to learn as well and contribute in a meaningful manner. It's a 1-hour session. It's usually, I like to spend more than that. And I like to believe in hands-on learning. So it's not just about talking, it's going to be more interactive. So I expect the students to pump in a lot of energy, ask me the toughest of the questions so that I will fail in answering them. And I will hopefully search and give you an answer over a period of time. With that, I'll hopefully share my screen. And when I'm sharing my screen, I may not be able to look at you, which is another big problem for me in a digital life or a digital world. I usually like to look at folks, speak to them, and then look at those non-verbal cues. Some people might yawn, some people bolenge yaar kya paka raha hai. All those things, are very rich artifacts for me. And based on that, it helps me change or fine-tune the story. So yeah, that's a miss. I wish I was in Chandigarh to actually see you guys live. And this is my title slide. So I feel stories are great healers. Every story that you have, basically when you relive those moments, there's a story attached to it. When you look at something, there is a memory or a kind of a nostalgia attached to it. And sometimes these stories help you, relive those moments and move on in life. You learn a lot from your stories. Sometimes there are stories of failures. Sometimes there are stories of how you address those pain points. Stories also help us empathize a bit more with whoever we have been in touch with, the protagonists who were there in that particular scenario. the story can be anything, a visit to a restaurant, or a visit to your relative's place, or a story can be about a tangible object that you are holding. Maybe it can be your mobile phone or your laptop, or even probably a Netflix show that you watch together along with a bunch of folks. There's always ups and downs in a story. So we will talk about all those things. But I feel that stories have a very healing power, not just for yourself, but also to others. Because when you narrate your story, someone learns from those stories. There's always some takeaway from it. Let's see how we can look at these stories. Any thoughts, any questions? And okay, fine is also fine, like a cue, a verbal cue, or even, I don't know if there are icons or something. Someone's talking. Okay. So this is a question where you have to give a response. This is a poster, okay? In case you're not able to read, it says, "Fake hurts real. Imitations are poorly made, giving you no protection." Any of you, just unmute yourself, and if you have any thoughts on this, what brand it is it a brand at all? What are they trying to convey?
Adidas.
Adidas, yes. Sir, I have made a brand extension on this. Even Gopal Meena sir was our teacher.
Oh man, it's such a giveaway. But what I liked was the way they played with the content, the copy, and just with one visual, you're stitching together a powerful story. Of course, the end user are people who use these products. The company is trying to convey something that, you have tons of online portals and you have these shopkeepers selling stuff, but beware of, the spurious goods or fake products, because that can damage you. In a very simple way, they have captured the user's pain points and their own pain points, and what benefit or things that you can reap by keeping your soul, SOLE, as well as SOUL, clean, right? So yeah, that's a clear giveaway, I guess. Any thoughts on this, folks?
McDonald's.
Yeah, and what are they trying to convey through these set of images?
We are everywhere.
We are everywhere. Yeah, we are everywhere. But what is it that stands out in each of them?
The yellow big M.
Okay,
The
these are
symbol.
okay. Can you go a bit more deeper into it?
Night.
Night. Okay.
Shedding light on the M.
Light on the M. Okay. These are really obvious ones, like it's night. You can see the arcs in different ways. But
I'm really tempted to, but I'll wait.
It's showing every kind of person, sir. Night guards, students, gamers, party people.
Yes.
you're getting there.
night
Yes.
drivers,
Yes.
drive-through.
Showing the light also.
Yes.
In different ways.
Yes. Yes. Go on, guys. This is cool. Yeah. Go on. What else can you extrapolate? Look at the artifacts clean. It's got a reason why they've used these particular objects. So you were there. Yellow is a given, but each of these picture has, like someone said, night guard, someone said you're driving, reading. These are certain moments that have been captured.
Late
I
night
have something
binging.
to add.
सर डिफरेंट डे टू डे लाइफ पे मतलब देखने को मिलता है.
Target audiences.
Target audiences, हाँ, बढ़िया है ये, correct. Target audience, you're getting there.
Hello, I have
McDonald's.
something to add.
हाँ, बताइए.
I think they are they are reaching to the all places where all possible, like wherever you need it.
Yes.
I
they
think
are
it means you're
everywhere.
doing it means you're doing everything you can order from McDonald's. You're doing anything, like you're driving or you're studying, you are doing duty. You can order from there.
So now you guys are getting the sense ki what is the brand trying to say, that we are everywhere. We are taking care of people's needs, different kinds of people, right? There is a gamer and there is a night guard who is on duty. Usko bhi bhook lagega, he needs a quick bite. While you're playing games and when you're hooked onto games, you're like, और वहाँ पे एक छोटा सा remote control भी है, and there are some, you know, music, everything. So that shows a kind of a persona, right? Or a kind of a character is coming very subtly, but so beautifully conveyed, those subtle things. And even the choice of colors that they've used, where yellow is getting the limelight. Of course, there are headphones, you notice it, but you still don't notice it. There's a remote, you notice it, but still the yellow overpowers it. So a gamer who is hooked on, but usko bhook lag raha hai abhi, so he can order a McDonald's. देर रात को आप पढ़ाई कर रहे हो, राइट? भर भर के ग्रुप स्टडीज हो रहा है. It's not one person, two people are studying, right? And then you can actually order McD's because रात की भूख. Also, it's a drive way, right? When you're driving on highways, McDonald's unfortunately is seen as a dhaba. So usually, imagine if you don't have that kind of standardization, it would have been chaotic. इसमें
किसी को ज्यादा मिल रहा है, किसी को कम मिल रहा है, इसमें सबको एकदम बैचेस में जा रहा है.
Bang on. And ये उन्होंने खुद बनाया. They became inventors. So they were not just entrepreneurs. एक बात है, आप बर्गर बेच रहे हो, but when you realize there is a huge demand for your burgers and people are like, they don't want to stand in queue, rain or shine or whatever it is, they don't want to stand in queue. It's a fast food joint. Now, how do you up your game? How do you make sure that you're better than your compete, right? And how will you be a trendsetter? So that's where the whole thing about thinking through the user's empathy comes into picture. You start empathizing. So your whole story, you've got multiple protagonists, right? You have your emotions, then you have these blockers, and you want to unblock them. And when you understand this from a bigger or a larger perspective, you start diving deep. कि okay, मुझे क्या करना चाहिए to make sure that not just my customers are happy, but to make them happy, what should I do? Is it the quality of the food? No, quality of food is good, but I should also make sure that I have an efficient system at my backstage. That's where this service design story comes together, right? What are your backstage actions? What are your front stage actions? And how do you then merge this story together to prove that you can sell things like really as fast as McD's burgers, not like hotcakes, but as McD's burgers. So a great story.
Just another angle to add in here, coming from the brand side and the customer side, you know, try and understand, like, McDonald's, what was the USP? Like, why would I go and buy the McDonald's burger versus somebody else's burger? I had consistency and I had that 30 seconds. 30 seconds and the burger would have been out. So how do I live up to that promise? The brand promise. The brand's promise was, I'll give you the same burger each time you come to my premises in exactly 30 seconds. So that is exactly the entire orchestration was there. So how you could see beautifully customer experience, brand experience, and service design, how all of them were tied together. And this was exactly that story. Yeah.
Beautiful.
I think Shri, this was like a kind of a deja vu for me, because my dip project was of Jindal Steel as a mobile kitchen. So, you know, the kind of, you know, exercise what I perform. And also there's also, you know, what Azmeena ma'am has just added, I just also want to add.
Right now, because there are just too many options. Have you understood like why? You know, because in India, we have that attitude of aur dikhao. Okay. And we don't have too much loyalties to brands. Okay, that is also a problem because there's too many things to choose from. Because I have Alt Balaji, I have Sony Live, I have so many options, right? And some of them are even giving that free in the market completely, right? And they're saying, go ahead and just watch it for free because they just want to grab the audience out there. So this is again another challenge. And Netflix, trust me, is #1 across the globe. But in India, it's still struggling to hold itself.
I like the aur dikhao. It reminded me of old days.
Yes. Yeah, it is. We have a habit, right? We behave like sari shops as an Indian community. When we go to any place, we say, "Bhaiya aur dikhaiye," right? So when Netflix kitna dikhayega, right?
So I think it's not only aur dikhaiye. We always have a habit aur bataiye, aur kya ho raha hai, aur bataiye. So we are always like, and the conversation is aur bataiye after every second. I'm like, aur kitna bataye? That's it, you know. So Completely.
He's finding he's like, I was reading an article and he was saying that I'm finding it so difficult to penetrate. I'm number one everywhere, but out here I just have too many competition, too many channels to deal with, and it's diverse country. Like the amount of languages we have, right? So the amount of content they need to get on that channel is immense.
Cool. So I have a couple of more videos, and I also have a small basic structure to it. Probably I will cut down on some videos and I'll show one video.
Hey, this is Ed here with Engaz, and we're here in the middle of New York City at the Russian Tea Room. We're here for a Fox Sports World Cup event where we get to see the ultimate highlight machine, which the network created in partnership with IBM and Watson. The new FIFA World Cup machine, it is Watson using its machine learning and artificial intelligence to look through thousands of clips and let you create your own videos in a matter of seconds. Since Fox Sports has the FIFA World Cup rights, you can go back to tournaments dating back to 1958. Once you're in the Video Hub, you can look through these carousels of teams, players, and tournaments, and then you can search for their name, and Watson will use its artificial intelligence and machine learning to look through thousands of video clips and pull those up. Once you've actually created your own highlights, you can swipe through the video and get to specific moments from a certain World Cup. And at the end of it, you can share it on Facebook or Twitter. When the World Cup actually starts on June 14th, you'll be able to go into the Video Hub and actually watch the top 50 most watched highlight reels from your friends and others on social media. Overall, as a soccer fan, I had a lot of fun playing with the World Cup highlight machine, and I imagine a lot of other fans are going to enjoy it too, especially with the World Cup right around the corner. As for the power of IBM's Watson supercomputer, this shows you what AI can do, the ability of analyzing thousands of video clips and letting you create your own moments with just a couple of taps. You can check out the Fox Sports World Cup highlight machine for yourself on the Fox Sports iOS app and on the Fox Sports website.
Okay, since no one is saying, I'll just go ahead. So the whole idea was fan experience, and people are crazy. If you look at the passion of fans, especially soccer, cricket. In India, cricket is, they say, religion famously, or Tendulkar is God and all that, right? It's a big industry out there. So the fan base of soccer is high, or football, interchangeably called in certain countries. And when Russia was hosting the World Cup, Fox Sport wanted to see, usually people, the publishing houses, they create the content and, designers were there. But then the co-creation of content happened. Now we are moving into an era where people have become content creators, right? The YouTube is a great example of it, or Instagram. They just as content, you're bombarded with content. The fans had to, be given a choice, because they usually hang out in pubs or they watch these matches, and you can see how ferocious they become when even in European leagues, and now this World Cup we are talking about. And every fan, vouches for certain countries, certain players. Now, how do I capture all these things? And there is a lot of history and memories from past World Cups. And you grew up watching football as a kid with your father, maybe, or with your friends, and you really are patriotic about certain things. Now, to create that fan experience and that fan moment, they got these highlight machines and they put up in these strategic locations. And they said, create your fan moment and let these be talking conversations. Let's celebrate that. Be it a country or a player or the best defenses or the best goals or maybe the penalty shootouts. But you've got a volume of data. How are you going to solve this? And I don't have much patience. Can someone do that for me? So that's where, you have the technology weaving in this whole storyline. There was a pain point. There is an opportunity. Now the plot thickens. So how do I use technology? It's not the other way around. I have technology. I want to solve a problem. I have a primary opportunity from human experience. I empathize with my fans and I want to create something awesome. What can they do? What can be a great talking point? So here comes AI. It goes through those mines of, the data, the collection, the video footages, and it understands. If I'm looking for penalty shootouts, it understands and stitches together, and then allows me to customize or personalize and then share it. And then when I share it, it becomes, hey, you know what? I love the video. And then over a couple of chai, coffee, beer, or whatever, you start those conversations. a story which is a great culmination of how creative the vision was, how the folks got technology in place and identified a potential opportunity, right? So these are some of the thoughts, but if you guys have anything else to add, which you saw from your point of view, feel free to add to that plot. And we'll just see the structure. So this isn't coming from any book particular, but it's from some of the experiences, and probably you guys can add or make it better. But I feel like a story, you do have to look at, and in design also we say it has to be user-centered. So whatever services or products you're designing, have the chief protagonist whom you're going to empathize with, right? And what are the opposing factors? You will have some villains, you will have some obstacles or situations in a movie. Similarly, this particular protagonist who is going to use your service or product will also have these blockers. So start to understand a day in the life of this protagonist, what he or she goes through. The second part is be very inclusive. Like we saw what McDee's does, have a complete holistic or a co-creative way of thinking. So when he was trying to design the entire kitchen, he involved everyone in it, right? The people who are working in it, why speed became important, how people pass the buck from one counter to another, and then how do you address the whole thing? So it's not just designers thinking in silos. You will have the operating staff in this case doing it. At the same time, if you look at the video from IBM Watson, which Engadget presented, the way they took technology, so had the designers just thought amongst themselves and not include the technologists or the business folks, probably they would have limited their way of thinking. So co-creating that story is very important. So try to have that diverse profile. Look at those various touch points who can help you create that story. Of course, then comes the sequencing part, how you visualize the whole thing, the packaging part, right? And then with that sequencing, you should also come up with those artifacts of the story. What do you want to convey? How do you want to use those artifacts? Sometimes it's props, which become super, super important. Like we saw in the McDee's poster or the Adidas poster, or a set of posters that you keep observing in your day-to-day life. All this, if you look at in totality, will help you come up with a storyline or a complete, journey, which becomes essential. And for those things to kickstart, you will need artifacts. That's where you start, interviewing folks. You start collecting photographs for your stories, and that helps in documenting. So if you, let's say, go to a tattoo parlor, in that tattoo you kind of understand who are the people who are sitting in that parlor. There is a receptionist and there is a tattoo artist. There are some artifacts like the designs that you can get on your skin, what should be the post-care treatment. So you collect all these artifacts, and then you probably interview the artist, you interview the person, what challenges they are going through, and you also interview the person who is going to take a tattoo. What is his thought process? He might be excited, he might be nervous, kahin rash na aa jaye. The artist must be thinking that I hope I deliver the right design to this person I'm able to recommend. Also the businesses, like, am I able to, like Azmina says, right, in this one setting, how do I do this? Probably if the customer might be interested in one tattoo, can I show him other samples and make a bigger buck out of it? A lot of things. There are some things which are ethical and some things probably are not. And as a responsible designer, we'll try to stick to the value system out there. And then of course, the different places the protagonist visits. So be it in a movie or in your own product or services, what are the various environments where things happen? And most important one are the policies. So for example, a policy can be as simple as if you have to pay 500 rupees to get your to at least book. There's a booking amount that can be a policy which cannot be refunded. What are the rules, norms? There might be some health guidelines in a parlor kind of a stuff, like a tattoo artist kind of stuff. So those policies also has to be taken into picture. That's where a systems thinking comes into picture in a storyline. And of course, the last one is your entire workflow or the process which gets into it. the handoffs that we kind of saw it in the speedy system. So all this, if you start putting the ingredients together, using the principles and the artifacts, you can see how your story begins, where are the highs and lows, and where the plot thickens. And that will give you great opportunity space, right? Because now you've understood the emotions, you've empathized with all those touch points, be it front stage or backstage. You've written that story. And sometimes it can be a small design fiction also, which will help you to elevate the experience, an ideal experience. So this is one thing which is a no-brainer. I'm sure you guys would have already seen it, but this kind of helped me always to put a story together, be it for a product, service, or my own personal story. So it's split into like kind of 3 parts. I'm going a bit fast because we are already on time. Pardon me for this, but probably sometime later we can have a bigger session as well, if need be. Yeah. So you write down what scenario you're addressing. Is it a speedy system scenario, or is it like you're fighting against fake brands, or you're trying to propagate your brand perception or your brand value to folks? Who are the affected parties? Who are the involved parties? What is the goal that you want to set? And for that particular scenario, you put down a complete story, chunking them in different phases, like an introduction, then the plot, then probably the protagonist is doing certain activities, and then there's this climax point, and then finally the story kind of comes to an end. Now, during the entire storyline, you deal with a lot of emotions, thoughts. So those have to be captured beautifully through your artifacts, which we just discussed. And in each of these phases, you will be able to identify certain business opportunities, certain opportunities which can elevate the experience, maybe through technology or through a humanistic way, right? And then once you start putting those opportunities, a story which had unpleasant surprises can be dealt with some pleasantries or some serendipitous delight. But yeah, that's the whole crux. What ideally I do is, this was the learning part. The next part is the hands-on learning part, where you guys have to make your stories through these sections, and then a playback happens for a few folks. It's usually done in groups of 5, where you come up with a storyline, a problem, who are your main actors, your protagonists, what happens behind the scenes, in front, and what are the problems, and then how do you counter it. So that's what usually happens. But
so in that scenario page, there was something about internal ownership. What was that?
So who is responsible for that particular section? When you're working in a corporate or a big production house, if there are certain opportunity areas that you have identified, who can be the assigned owner to address that particular part of that story? So there will be a core V team, and not everyone can do everything. So you can split your team accordingly. Let's say it's a group of 6 people or 5 people, and you can say that I'll pick up that part, I'll try and solve and come up with a better experience which is feasible, and hopefully much better from an experience point of view, and also gives you great telemetry or metrics from let's say, when I say telemetry, it's like how engaged users can be, how can I retain folks, how can I make sure there are lesser drop off or interest rates, like how do I hook people into this whole experience? Yep. Folks, any thoughts, any questions?
So in the template itself, there was some boxes called opportunities, right? So what is the opportunity that we are looking for here?
So every phase, for example, if you're trying to do a story of, let's say, a digital wallet, how it can benefit, quick transfer of money from one person to another person. Previously, they had, you have to go to this app. You have to log in either using a password or your biometric. But again, funds transfer was tough because you have to put the IFSC code and stuff like that. It's a cumbersome experience. Now, what happened with Bharat Pay or Paytm, or rather Paytm? Paytm started this QR code, which is a huge, so that's where technology came into picture. How do I solve this process of transferring funds? There were these banks which had their apps, but the fund transfer was still cumbersome, and they used to charge, I think, as a policy, 5 rupees or something, as per RBI guidelines. And then Paytm came into picture. They said we are not going to transfer we are not going to charge anything, and we'll allow funds transfer from one Paytm account to another Paytm account. But how do you do it? You just have to scan that QR code or put that phone number. I think Google Pays also had that. Previously, it was called Pays. Now it's Google Pay. But what happened later on? The opportunity they seized was Bharat Pay came up with this interoperability QR code. You can be a Paytm QR code. That's the opportunity they saw. QR codes were there, but you need that same app to transfer from one QR code to another QR code. But interoperability meant that as an opportunity space, you might have Phone Pay, I might have Google Pay, I can scan and transfer money. So that's the opportunity in that story.
So no, there were like opportunity, those boxes in every stage, right? So we have to find opportunity in every stage.
Yes, every stage. So how do you find opportunities? You find opportunity by understanding that stage of your story. You come into a huddle as a group, because ideation doesn't happen only through a siloed way. You need different folks who are part of the story. So you'll need to get into a huddle, brainstorm, ideate, and that should be a diverge converge activity. So you first ideate separately, you diverge, and then you converge. You do a playback of your ideas, and those ideas can bubble up as, like, people might have similar ideas, so that gets converged. Sometimes you park certain ideas later on. So this diverge and converge will help you identify opportunities for each of those phases.
Okay. Gotcha.
It's best understood when you actually do it. That's fun. There'll be some chaos. Yeah. Any other thoughts? I know we have 5 minutes beyond time, but since it's a Saturday, I hope everyone's free.
It's just that when we do it, anything design with the viewpoint of, look at it with the viewpoint of a process, it becomes somewhat difficult to understand. But the way you told us, like, we have to look at it as a story, and then we have to find out pain points and opportunities, it's somewhat more easier that way, I mean, according to me.
Yeah, I think we all connect to stories very well. So the minute you say a story, even to a kid, about a product, or I keep discussing with my son when I even make a small presentation. In fact, he's already seen this deck. I ran it through him before I ran it through you guys, just to see what his reactions are about what he understands as a story. Though he was not able to get it in detail because he's just 10 years old. But you should try and connect your stories to your audience, right? So when you look at it from that point of view, you start empathizing, be it with your, if you're, let's say you're creating a product. Let's say my favorite is the Fisker's butter knife. Now the Fisker's butter knife is such a simple product design that you take a nice slice of, you have this butter chunk or the block, and it's in that right state, and you just cut it. That feeling when you cut that Fisker's wala butter knife against the butter, it's just melodious. You can get that, that slice of butter being cut by your that butter knife. It's got the right grip, it's making the right bend, and you get that neat slice of butter, just that neat thin slice of butter, and then you can just use it against the bread. It's so beautiful. It's a small product, but the experience it gives us, the satisfaction that you get, I didn't get it in my normal knife. I don't know why. I got it in Fisker's. I'm not a brand ambassador of Fisker's, but I just loved it. But yeah, that's the story. You enjoy each and every product that you use sometimes in life, and then you think what the designer would have thought about me. He thought about me while making that, and he empathized with Sriram, and that made him do this. And there would have been tons of prototypes to get that right grip, and that right dent and angle and that nice dip against these kind of semi-solid or slightly, solid butter, or in fact frozen butter also sometimes.
Just to add in here, there is something which I also want to emphasize, that storytelling does not just end while making a product or while developing a product, but by explaining a product also to somebody. It's very, very important. So don't forget the stories which you have gone through, to relate those when you are probably making a person walk through the journey of that product, or when you're probably explaining, when you are explaining to your stakeholders, which is very, very important, because I might not buy your product if I don't get your story. Right? So it's very, very important to first identify the story in your product and then relaying that story, right? Storytelling is very, very important in getting your jobs. Okay. And that is the most important thing. I would say Sriram and me, we connected over a story and then we started working with each other. Right. So I would just say that there are stories which are very, very important today. Like when I'm hiring people, my very simple thing is, I don't ask what's your resume or what's your portfolio. I just ask them, what's your story? Yeah. And if the person is not able to tell me a story, I personally feel a person is not passionate. And if the person is not passionate, then I really don't want to hire that person. Or how much you are involved in that shows, कि मैं इतना involved हुआ था इस journey में, and hence my product is coming out so well, right? So it all begins with that interesting story. And that's where I say that every designer is a storyteller. And this goes hand in hand, right, Sriram?
Completely agree. I grew up with stories. I just love them. You see a story in everything. In fact, this nice, beautiful, sunny Bangalore afternoon, I connected with you guys, heard great perspectives. Azmina, my good friend, is there. Got to meet some new folks, Gopal, and also wonderful session, great stories. One thing is we should all create stories which will benefit, as I said, or heal others and heal ourselves as well. It's got that magical power, and we as designers are blessed to be in this discipline because I think we understand most of the disciplines very well because we empathize with the other folks, be it in professional or personal life. So it becomes slightly easier for us to get into that groove.
सर जस्ट लाइक जो मैगी है उसने भी ये स्टोरीज वाला पैकेजिंग एंड एडवर्टाइजिंग मिड वे में स्टार्ट किया था कि शेयर योर मैगी स्टोरीज. एडवर्टीजमेंट भी उनकी उसी तरह की आती थी, उनकी पैकेजिंग पे भी उनकी 1 और 2 स्टोरीज, इवन पैकेजिंग पे भी शॉर्ट स्टोरीज उनकी लिखी होती. तो काफी इंटरेस्ट आता था कि दूसरों की मैगी स्टोरीज पढ़ने में भी, और वो बोलते शेयर योर ऑन मैगी स्टोरीज. तो काफी ज्यादा रिलेटेबल रहती थी वो चीज.
Yeah, Amazon did the same thing for a better, wider spectrum reach, right? In the carton boxes, also they started Lalita ji ka pickle, right? It's a handmade pickle from Lalita.
Yes.
And it's not so. Here, who is benefiting? Amazon is benefiting. You get to know about Lalita, and Lalita herself is getting those brownie points. So it's an all-win situation just through that wonderful, brilliant idea, right? And it's no cost. You just need that story, put it up there. And it's the same packaging that you get your mobile phone or whatever. With that, I have also shared in the chat kahani_chitkara. So go through it if possible, and mail your stories or your visuals. It would be fun to go through them. Did you guys get it? Sorry.
No, sir.
No. Got anything, Sriram, in the chat?
It's a 126 MB file. Maybe usi late time later.
All right.
Or I'll share a link with you, and you can.
So we will share it with them. Or if you can share the link in the chat box, that is also fine.
It's in my desktop. I'll upload.
All right.
It. Yeah.
Okay. We'll do that. And thank you so much, Sriram, for taking out time on a Saturday morning. And of course, we will have a detailed discussion on your diverge and converge, and we'll expand more on storytelling, because I think it's very vital for the students, because they are eventually going to be getting into the industry. They need to know how to be good storytellers, not about themselves, but about what is there in their portfolio, how they explain what they have. So I think we would definitely have more of your sessions as you are more willing. And thank you so much for giving these amazing takeaways. And we'll be sharing the link the moment we have. Lovely audience. Thank you so much. Thank you. Notes from you, Gopal. Any last notes from you?
No, my big thank you to Shri and Azmina ma'am. Azmina has always been, I'm really, we are really fortunate, every one of us, including faculty and students, that Azmina ma'am is really putting a lot of efforts to bring this learning all together for everyone. Storytelling is very important. Thank you so much, Shri, for, sharing your story. Your story, I will rather say, not just this session. I think, see, it is very simple. I know most of the students, when you're joining the institute, you want to know the story of the institute. So stories is all around.
Yeah.
And same goes when, whether you're building a career, whether you're building a learning platform or learning journey, stories are always there. So very, very important part is because we say designers are very visual driven people. We are not, So when we say visual, stories are going to be there. So thank you so much, Shri. For sharing such a wonderful story, your journey and your story. Thank you so much, Azmina ma'am, for all the valuable insights and thoughts. Yes.
It's always a pleasure, and I would say it's always a pleasure listening to Sriram, and he always has new stories.
Yes.
Like probably I must have seen his session, and every time there's a new story. Yeah, so it's always a pleasure. But seriously, guys, you need to catch up with Sriram. You should probably visit the university, Sriram, because you'll probably see him always with bunch of students, and he's always surrounded with students. Wherever we were working, like when we were working together in IX, I remember, like he used to take care of the graduate hire program, and he used to just hire the young kids. I would just say, and he was always surrounded by them, and he exactly knew how to get the best out of them. Trust me, I was really low on patience, but the amount of patience he had and the way he used to extract stories out of everyone and, making them do the best work in the industry, that is the beauty of Sriram. So it's through storytelling, trust me.
A lot of kind words from all. So thanks. But what I personally got was a great kickstart to my weekend. It was good participation. Just that it was digital and we are all seeing in a rectangular box. But hopefully, if we can do sessions when we are returning back to normal as we speak. I would always try to give back to the community which kind of nurtured my career. So I would love to contribute in whatever way I can. And if there are questions that I can't answer, we have folks like Azmina and Google and books to refer and get back to them. But it's a co-creative process, collaborative process. We can learn together and feed off each other. Thanks for a wonderful session, and really sweet of you guys to invite me. So thanks.
Our pleasure, completely our pleasure. Thank you, Sri. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye, folks.
Have a great weekend. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Stay healthy, safe. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.